Las Vegas. The name itself conjures a spectacle of impossible light, a vibrant oasis carved from the harsh Mojave Desert. It is a city built on dreams, where fortunes are won and lost in the blink of an eye. Here, rivers of electricity flow through towering structures, creating a man-made constellation that outshines the stars. This is the Las Vegas the world knows, a testament to human ambition and our relentless pursuit of entertainment. It gleams with an almost biological intensity. A coral reef of light and sound, pulsing with the energy of millions who come to witness its manufactured wonder. It promises escape, a temporary reprieve from the ordinary world. But beyond the reach of this dazzling glow, another desert lies in wait. It is a landscape of profound silence and immense scale, where the earth is baked hard under the unblinking eye of the sun. This is the ancient Mojave, a world of muted tones, hardy creosote bushes, and animals adapted to scarcity. It is a place of survival, not spectacle. The city's edge is a stark frontier where the manicured lawns and shimmering pools give way to cracked earth and whispering winds. Here, the boundary between the constructed world and the natural one is blurred, a fractured line where the city's forgotten stories begin to unfold in the lengthening shadows. This contrast is more than just geographical, it is the central paradox of this unique environment. The city radiates a promise of endless abundance, yet it is surrounded by a natural world defined by its limits. For every fountain that throws water to the sky, there are miles of arid land thirsting for a single drop. For every symphony of light, there is an ocean of darkness. It is in this stark duality, between the neon jungle and the sandy expanse, that a hidden ecosystem has taken root. It is a world unseen by the millions who flock to the Strip, a community living on the periphery of a dream. As night falls, the two deserts seem to call to one another across an invisible divide. The city's light spills into the dark, illuminating the dust motes dancing in the air. But it cannot penetrate the deep pockets of shadow that cling to the city's underbelly. It is here, in the alleys, under the overpasses, and at the forgotten edges where the pavement crumbles into dirt, that another story of Las Vegas is being written. It is a story not of spectacle, but of endurance. A story not of winning, but of simply holding on against the odds in the shadow of the world's brightest city. Quietly, almost imperceptibly at first, a parallel city has been growing within Las Vegas. This is not a city of steel and glass, but one of canvas, cardboard, and salvaged materials. It is the city of the unhoused, a population that has swelled to nearly 8,000 souls across Clark County. This is not a distant problem confined to a single neighborhood. It is a crisis that has become part of the very fabric of the landscape. Encampments, the makeshift habitats of this struggling community, are now a common sight, woven into the urban environment like tenacious desert plants reclaiming the concrete. They are visible, yet so often unseen. These settlements appear in the most unlikely of places. They huddle in the deep shade, beneath the colossal freeway overpasses, their inhabitants dwarfed by the roaring traffic above. They cluster in the dry, concrete channels, built to contain the rare but powerful desert floods. They emerge in the downtown core, just blocks away from the historic Fremont Street experience, and spread outward to the city's far-flung edges. Each encampment is a small, fragile territory, a testament to human ingenuity in the face of absolute scarcity. Here, survival is a daily, painstaking art form, practiced in the margins of a world of excess. The scale of this crisis has taken many by surprise, growing faster and spreading further than anyone had anticipated. Mayor Shelley Berkeley herself has described it as worse than expected, a silent tide that continues to rise. The visual evidence is undeniable. What were once isolated pockets of homelessness have merged and expanded, creating sprawling communities of shared hardship. These are not just temporary shelters. For many, they have become long-term homes, the only sanctuary available in a city where the cost of a permanent roof has soared beyond reach. The crisis has become a defining feature of the modern Las Vegas landscape. Each tent, each carefully constructed shelter, tells a story of existence. They are monuments to resilience, but also markers of a profound societal fracture. Seen from a distance, they can appear as little more than blemishes on the urban terrain, but up close, they reveal the complex and desperate human ecology at play. These are not merely collections of objects, but the homes of individuals, each with a past, a name, and a desperate hope for a future that seems to be slipping further and further away. This hidden kingdom, built from the remnants of the city above, is a stark reminder of who gets left behind. To understand the roots of this crisis, we must look to its most vulnerable source, the young. A shocking number of those living on the streets are not there by choice, but because they have been cast adrift at the very moment they were meant to begin their adult lives. The foster care system, designed to be a safety net, too often becomes a direct pipeline to homelessness. In Clark County, there are over 3,000 children in foster care, but a chronic shortage of foster parents means the system is stretched to its breaking point. For these children, the future is a precarious and frightening unknown. The day a child in foster care turns 18 is not a celebration of independence, but a precipice. For an astonishing 60% of these young adults, this birthday marks their first day of being homeless. The support structures that held their lives together, however imperfectly, simply vanish overnight. One moment they are wards of the state, the next, they are entirely on their own. 20% of this group will find themselves on the streets or in emergency shelters immediately. The other 40% enter a state of hidden homelessness, couch surfing from one temporary place to another, their lives packed into a single bag. This is not the only path to the streets. The crisis is fueled by a perfect storm of systemic failures. A severe shortage of affordable housing across the Las Vegas Valley has pushed even those with jobs out of the market. The city's economy, so heavily reliant on service and hospitality industries, often provides wages that cannot keep pace with the rising cost of living. For many, a single unexpected medical bill or a reduction in work hours is all it takes to lose everything. The dream of a stable life dissolves into the harsh reality of survival on the margins. And beneath it all lie the deeper, often invisible struggles of mental health and substance abuse. These challenges are not always the cause of homelessness, but they are frequently a consequence of the trauma and stress of living without shelter. The constant anxiety, the lack of safety, and the daily fight for survival can exacerbate pre-existing conditions or create new ones. It is a vicious cycle, a downward spiral that is incredibly difficult to escape once it takes hold. The long shadow of past traumas, whether from childhood or from life on the street, follows these individuals everywhere they go. In response to this growing human crisis, a new kind of ecosystem has begun to form, one dedicated not to profit or spectacle, but to care. The city and its community partners are forging new alliances, recognizing that the old methods are no longer sufficient. The approach is becoming more holistic, more compassionate. The city's homeless outreach team, once primarily a law enforcement function, has been reimagined. It now includes mental health professionals, community health workers, and emergency medical technicians. They move through the encampments not as enforcers, but as a lifeline. This collaborative spirit extends into the justice system itself. A new community court has been established, designed to break the cycle of arrest and release that traps so many unhoused individuals. Instead of focusing on punishment for minor offenses, this court prioritizes connection to resources. Defendants are not met with jail time, but with a plan. They are offered access to housing assistance, mental health counseling, and job training. The court's mission is to monitor progress and provide support, transforming the judicial process from a revolving door into a pathway toward stability and healing. At the heart of this network of support is the Courtyard Homeless Resource Center. It is a bustling, vital hub that serves as a daytime sanctuary for hundreds of people every day. Here, individuals can access basic necessities, a meal, a shower, a place to rest safely, but it provides more than just immediate relief. It is a point of connection, a place where people can meet with case managers, get help with official documents, and begin the long journey of finding a way out. It supports between 600 and 900 people daily, a staggering number that nonetheless represents only a fraction of those in need. More specialized help is on the horizon. A reconstructed recuperative care center is set to open, a first of its kind for the community. This facility will provide 80 beds specifically for unhoused individuals who are recovering from a serious illness or injury. For too long, hospitals have had to discharge vulnerable patients back to the streets, where healing is nearly impossible. This new center will provide a safe, clean environment where the body and spirit can mend, bridging a critical gap in the continuum of care and offering a place of respite for the most fragile. Amidst the statistics and the sprawling crisis, there are individual stories of profound resilience, stories that, offer a glimpse of hope and a testament to the human spirit's capacity to overcome even the most daunting of circumstances. One such story is that of Faith Bryan. Her journey into the fractured world of homelessness began long before she ever set foot on the street. She entered the foster care system at the tender age of 12, a child navigating a world of uncertainty and constant upheaval. The system that was meant to protect her instead set her on a path toward the edge. When Faith turned 18, the predictable cliff edge arrived. The foster care system released its hold, and she was suddenly alone, with no family, no home, and no safety net to catch her. The world that had been structured for her, however tenuously, dissolved in an instant. She found herself unhoused, facing the same fate that befalls so many who age out of care. It was a terrifying and disorienting time, a period of instability where, honestly, the future seemed like an impenetrable wall. The City of Lights became a landscape of shadows, and survival was a minute-by-minute struggle. But Faith's story did not end there. She found a crucial lifeline in a nonprofit organization called Olive Crest. This was more than just a shelter. It was a place of learning and transformation. Through their programs, Faith began to acquire the essential life skills that so many take for granted: budgeting, navigating bureaucracy, and building a foundation for an independent life. She was given not just a roof over her head, but the tools she needed to build her own future. It was a slow, difficult process, but with their support, she began to reclaim her life, piece by piece. Today, Faith Bryan is not just a survivor, she is on the verge of becoming a rescuer. Having achieved stability, she is now in the process of becoming a licensed foster parent herself. Her goal is to provide a home for her 13-year-old sister, from whom she was separated for years by the very system they both endured. Faith is determined to use her own experience, the pain, the struggle, and the ultimate triumph, to create a safe and loving environment for her sister. Her journey has come full circle, transforming from a story of loss to one of profound hope and reclamation. Even with a growing network of support, a significant and honestly perplexing challenge remains. Many unhoused individuals actively resist moving into traditional shelters. To an outsider, this can seem illogical. A shelter offers a roof, a bed, and a degree of safety from the elements. Why would anyone choose the harsh uncertainty of the street over that? The answer is complex and lies in the invisible walls that surround these institutions, walls built of fear, trauma, and a desperate need for autonomy. For many, a shelter is not a sanctuary, but another kind of prison. Safety is a primary concern. Large communal shelters can be chaotic and dangerous environments. Thefts are common, and the risk of violence is a constant threat. For those who have already been victimized, the prospect of sleeping in a large room full of strangers is terrifying. Many feel safer in their own small, isolated tent, where they can maintain some control over their immediate surroundings. The rules of a shelter, strict curfews, a lack of privacy, and the inability to keep partners, pets, or possessions close can feel like a surrender of the last vestiges of personal freedom. Furthermore, the population living on the streets is not monolithic. Their needs are incredibly diverse. Many are grappling with severe mental health issues, such as PTSD, paranoia, or acute anxiety, which make crowded, noisy environments unbearable. A shelter's structured setting can feel overwhelming and triggering. Others are struggling with substance abuse and may be unable or unwilling to comply with the strict sobriety rules that most shelters enforce. For these individuals, the choice is not between a shelter and their tent, it is between their tent and nothing at all. This resistance highlights a fundamental truth about the crisis. A one-size-fits-all solution is doomed to fail. To truly help, we must first understand the intricate web of personal history, trauma, and psychological need that shapes each person's reality. The reluctance to enter a shelter is not a sign of defiance, but a symptom of a system that has not yet learned to adequately address the deep and complex wounds of its most vulnerable members. The true challenge is not just to build more beds, but to create spaces that feel genuinely safe, respectful, and healing. The struggle for survival in the desert city is a raw and, honestly, elemental one. For those without a home, the environment itself becomes an adversary. The summer sun is a relentless force, with temperatures soaring to life-threatening levels. The concrete and asphalt of the city become a vast furnace, offering no shade and no relief. Finding water is a daily, urgent quest. In this landscape, a simple patch of shade or a source of clean water is not a convenience. It is the difference between life and death. The physical toll of this existence is immense, wearing down the body and the spirit with brutal efficiency. It is this harsh reality that makes the city's resource centers so vital. They are more than just buildings. They are oases in a desert of hardship. Places like the Courtyard Homeless Resource Center are critical sanctuaries where the unhoused can find a temporary reprieve from the constant pressures of the street. Here, one can escape the punishing heat, access medical care for an injury, and connect with others who understand their struggle. These centers are points of stability in a world of constant motion and uncertainty, offering a brief moment to breathe and to rest and to gather the strength to face another day. Yet these sanctuaries are under immense strain. The sheer number of people in need far outstrips the available resources. A center that helps 900 people a day is a monumental achievement, but it is a drop in the bucket when nearly 8,000 are in need across the county. The staff are dedicated and compassionate, but they are fighting an overwhelming tide. Every day, they are forced to make difficult decisions, prioritizing the most urgent cases while knowing that many others will have to wait. The gap between the services offered and the demand for them is a vast and growing chasm. This disparity underscores the urgent need for expansion and innovation. The planned recuperative care center is a crucial step forward, addressing the specific needs of those who are too ill for the streets, but not sick enough to remain in a hospital. But much more is needed. The city is engaged in a constant search for new ways to bridge these gaps, holding meetings with support organizations, faith groups, and business owners to identify what is missing and how to provide it. The challenge is not just to maintain the current sanctuaries, but to build a more comprehensive and resilient ecosystem of care that can meet the crisis head-on. While immediate aid is essential for survival, the only true long-term solution to homelessness is a home. Recognizing this fundamental truth, Las Vegas is embarking on an ambitious and large-scale effort to address the root cause of the crisis, a desperate shortage of affordable housing. The city is now looking at its own landscape not just as a place of commerce and tourism, but as a place where solutions can be built from the ground up. These are not small, incremental changes, but bold, transformative projects designed to reshape the housing market for those who have been priced out. One of the most innovative initiatives involves the repurposing of land once dedicated to leisure. A former golf club, a symbol of suburban recreation, is slated to be transformed into a new community of approximately 1,500 mixed-income housing units. This project represents a powerful shift in priorities, turning a space of private leisure into a source of public good. Similarly, a major home builder, Lennar, is developing over 1,000 units of workforce housing, specifically aimed at the essential workers who keep the city running, but can no longer afford to live in it. The city skyline itself is beginning to change, reflecting this new focus. Across the valley, cranes punctuate the sky as new apartment towers and complexes rise from the desert floor. Projects like the Capella, the Gemma, the Miles, and the Oscar are adding hundreds of new units to the housing stock. While not all of these will be low income, their construction is part of a broader strategy to increase the overall supply of housing, with the goal of eventually stabilizing prices and creating more options for residents at every income level. Each new foundation is a concrete seed of hope. This massive undertaking is a race against time. The housing projects are a promise for the future, but the crisis is happening now. The construction of a new apartment tower is a slow and deliberate process, while the number of people falling into homelessness can grow overnight. The city is betting that this aggressive development strategy will, in time, turn the tide. It is a long-term vision, a belief that by building for its own residents, not just for its visitors, Las Vegas can begin to heal the deep social fractures that have been exposed by this crisis. Las Vegas exists in a state of perpetual tension. It is a city of dazzling surfaces and deep hidden shadows. It is a magnet for the world's wealthy and, simultaneously, a place where thousands struggle for their next meal. This is the city's fundamental paradox. The glamour and the hardship existing side by side, often separated by nothing more than a single city block. As the city confronts its homeless crisis, this tension has never been more palpable. The search for solutions is a search for balance, an attempt to reconcile the city's glittering image with the stark reality of its most vulnerable inhabitants. The path forward is fraught with challenges, but it is not without hope. The city's leadership, under Mayor Berkeley, is actively seeking new strategies, even participating in a national program with other mayors to research and implement proven methods for addressing chronic homelessness. The collaborative efforts between police, mental health workers, nonprofits, and the courts represent a profound shift toward a more humane and effective response. There is a growing recognition that this is a community-wide problem that requires a community-wide solution, a shared responsibility to care for one another. The stories of individuals like Faith Bryan serve as powerful beacons in the darkness. They remind us that behind the staggering numbers are human beings with immense strength and the capacity for change. Her journey from a ward of the state to a future foster parent is a testament to the fact that with the right support, lives can be rebuilt and cycles of trauma can be broken. Hope is found not only in new housing projects, but in these singular acts of courage and compassion, multiplied across the community day after day. As the sun rises over the Mojave, its first light touches everything with an impartial grace. It illuminates the highest spire of the most opulent casino, and at the same moment, warms the canvas of a lone tent in a dry riverbed. For Las Vegas, this relentless dawn brings with it a daily choice. It can continue to be a city of stark contrasts, of winners and losers, or it can strive to become something more, a community that marshals its incredible resources and boundless energy to ensure that the light of hope reaches into its darkest corners, leaving no one behind in the shadows. The search continues,